Hi, my name is Chris Copen. I'm the Vice President of Technology with Kramer Electronics, and I'm coming to you today from my home, actual wood shop, working from home like everyone. And I wanted to talk about a very common application, which is mainly we find in classrooms, is having a passive wall plate, HDMI passive wall plate, and then some length of HDMI cable going up through the wall, ceiling, wherever to the display device. Now, back in the days of 1080p, that worked just fine. I could have that passive wall plate, have a 35 to 50 foot HDMI cable, and have the either student or teacher be able to walk up to that wall plate, connect the device, and no problems. At 1080p, those lengths work just fine. Well, today with 4K, the 35 or 50 foot cable no longer is going to function. And the alternative that a lot of places would consider would be these devices. So I have my HDMI to twisted pair wall plate transmitter receivers. So I have a certain amount of length of category cable between these two devices. And while this does function and solve that problem, it comes at, sometimes a pretty sizable cost. Other alternative is active optical cables. So Kramer's got a complete line of active optical cables that take the HDMI signal, convert it to light, to fiber optic, and then go through, distances up to 328 feet, and then to the display where then it's converted back to copper and, to display your signal. And you can see this particular one here actually even has a removable end. There's a capsule that goes over this with a pull ring on it, allowing you to, bring it through conduits, snake it through walls quite easily. Then you get to your destination and put your connector, full-size connector back on, put a little set screw in it, and you're done. So these cables, although great for lots of applications, and I'll connect it right here to my Mac. So I've got my Mac computer connected through this optical cable to the display. These optical cables are really designed for a point-to-point connection. They're designed to go directly from the source to a destination. Now that destination could be a matrix switcher, could be a scaler, could be a distribution amplifier, or directly to a display like I have here. But it's not really designed to be connected on the back of a passive wall plate and then another certain amount of length of cable in front of that wall plate to the source. So let me demonstrate that here. So I have one of our HDMI inserts. So this is just a passive HDMI to HDMI barrel that would go, into one of our frame wall plates. If I connect my AOCH cable on the back side of this, again, imagining this is my wall plate. And then on the front side, I've got about a 12-foot HDMI cable here. Connect that to my Mac computer. You can see what I'm going to get here. And, generally it's an image. You can see it's just full of digital snow, and it'll probably start flashing and cutting in and out. And the reason for that is that there's a certain amount of attenuation in any HDMI cable. And when, by the time I go through this 12-foot cable, then I'm going through this, passive adapter here. By the time it gets to the laser diodes that are in the hood of this AOCH cable, there's just a little bit too much of attenuation to the signal that the conversion to light is corrupted. So the solution is, Kramer had come out with a couple of years ago, this PT3H2. So this is a reclocking, equalizing device, and actually it's one of my favorite Kramer devices because it's such a problem solver. I can connect this. I take the AOCH cable and connect it to the output of this PT3H2, and then of course I'm going to need another length of cable. Now I didn't have a short cable with me, but to make matters even worse, here's probably a 6-foot HDMI cable. Let me connect that in series with everything here. So what I have now is I got my 12-foot HDMI cable going through my passive wall plate, going through about another 6-foot or so cable to the PT3H2, which reclocks and equalizes the signal, and then through into my fiber cable. And as you can see, the picture's pristine. It's doing the, its exact job of reclocking and equalizing this signal to provide a pure signal for the conversion then to light. And you can see it is getting power from the source. Now we do give you a little micro USB. We do recommend powering this, just to be on the safe side. I'm never sure if all sources will be providing enough power on the HDMI connection for that. But although this solves a problem, it actually creates a problem, because where are you going to find room to put this on the inside of a wall box, especially with some length of HDMI cable? I know you could probably get a 1-foot HDMI cable or maybe less, but still it's kind of a problem. So Kramer's Engineering decided to take the circuitry in this PT3H2 and actually do it in a wall plate. So this is virtually the same device. It's got the HDMI in, HDMI out. It gives you the ability to power remotely. So I've got a power supply that's back behind my display here. So you could extend this to whatever length you need. You're running the AOCH cable. You run a 2-conductor along with it. So we would consider that best practice. But I can take my fiber cable now and connect it directly to the back of this. I take my adapter cable anymore. I don't need the wall plate adapter anymore. So now I've got my 12-foot HDMI cable that I'm connecting now to the front side. And it's doing the same thing. It's giving me a pristine picture, just like the PT3H2 did, but in a form factor that now is very easy to install. So it's a single 1-gang Decorah style, comes in black or white, it's your choice. And it's doing the reclocking and equalization. Now I can disconnect power, just like with the PT3H2. This will source power from the source device, but again, best practice would be to run power to it. That way you never have to be concerned about, the source's power capability. Now we also have that in another form factor. So here's a form factor that would fit down into one of our T-bus, our table devices. Same thing, I have my HDMI in, my HDMI out, I've got power capability. So again, I've got the exact same circuitry in 3 different devices or 3 different form factors, again, depending on your application. So I think this is a really, really super problem solver, the WP3H2, that gives me the ability to run an active optical cable. This could even be a passive HDMI cable. So depending on your resolution, this is going to give you a bit more distance than having just a passive connector here, since we are again reclocking that signal. But it's it's a device that I think you would find most useful in a lot of different applications, and something that well worth taking a look at. So thanks for your time today, and enjoy.